Welcome back. And this is Rubbin Minds. We've been having such an amazing show. We started off talking about cyberbullying, and then we had an entertainment interview with a content creator, Kiki. Kiki is actually a media personality. She hosts TV shows, she does comedy skits. So she has a lot of things going on for her, and that is typically Nigerian. Every Nigerian these days have like a side hustle. You would agree with me that we live in a nation where we have a lot of people doing the 9 to 5 jobs, and sometimes those jobs cannot necessarily give them all they want in terms of remuneration. So they have to sort of start something else. But on the flip side, you now see that certain companies are losing quality time from their workers just simply because of those workers are now doing side hustles. According to Forbes, a Forbes article, 4.5 hours per week, 4.5 hours per week are being stolen from the employer's time by employees. So how do we sort of have a middle ground here? For people that own companies, how is it possible for your employees to dedicate their time to the job? And for employees, how can you dedicate your time to your 9 to 5 job and still have time for side hustle? Joining me in the studio today is the co-founder of Ingressive for Good, Blessing Abeng. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right. So let's kick things off. Tell me more about Ingressive for Good. What do you guys do?
Great. So Ingressive for Good is an edtech nonprofit where we're super focused on increasing the earning power of African youth by empowering them with tech skills, community, and resources that they need to grow.
Okay.
That's simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So how do you think one can balance having a 9 to 5 and having a side hustle without any of them suffering?
Okay, great. I mean, I really love that you quoted the Forbes article, and I'm just a bit worried that Forbes didn't really think about Africans at the time that they were doing the survey. In a survey that Henley School did for Africans, it was said that about 27% or almost 30% of people are very comfortable having side hustles, either with their businesses. I mean, employers also have side hustles, or with their employment. And yes, it's somehow, if you think about it holistically. But if you look a little deeper, there's poverty in the land, right? And there are people who, so another research actually showed that the younger people are doing it for money, but the older people are doing side hustles to pursue their passion because they feel like they don't have enough time. So understanding the motivation just helps you understand why people are even doing it in the first place. So the question becomes, what can employers do to ensure that their work doesn't suffer while the employees are doing what they're doing? And there are many contracts that let you know that if you're doing a side hustle between the time of the office, it's now the company's idea and no longer yours. So when people are aware about that, I think it gives them better perspective on how to sort of go about their side hustles. But weekends, 6 to 6 a.m. is enough time for someone to actually do something else. I mean, we only need 6 hours of sleep or 8 hours.
Okay, that's great. Now, sometimes you see that employers would say, while you are in my space, you are not allowed to use my
resources
to pursue your side hustle, And most often than not, you see that the employees sometimes even go against that and find a way around the system. I mean, in such situations, what should the employer and what should the employee also do?
Perfect. So I think also working with Ingressive for Good, one of the great things that we know is that 9 to 5 is just the time. But KPIs are what is important. If you tell people, these are the KPIs and these are what you're accountable for. If you want to do that in one day and achieve everything, great. If you want to achieve everything within the week, great. And adopting that culture can work for certain sectors. But for sectors where it can't work, is now a thing of integrity. People need better work ethic. And you always have to put yourself in people's shoes. So again, side hustles are sometimes just a leveling ground to say, I need more money. I need to make passive income. I need something extra to keep me going because the company is not paying me well enough, or I'm trying to live a certain lifestyle. So I think people should step back first and think about, what is my reason for engaging in this side hustle in the first place? Is it more money? Can my company pay me more money? Is it a passion thing? Can I go apply at a company that actually feels that passion? Am I just testing the waters for entrepreneurship and trying to also be safe? Is it something you're comfortable having, a conversation you're comfortable having with your superior? Is there a middle ground? Is your employer open enough to want to have conversations with you about how you can leverage your skills. I mean, one good example, there's a place I used to work. We had a couple of people who were influencers who also worked at the agency. And as opposed to shutting them down and saying, oh, you can't do influencing gigs anymore and take pictures and post on your Instagram, on company time, we found how can we leverage these people and encourage them so that they feel like we have their best interest at heart while also, fueling their passion. So if employers can find that middle ground where it's beneficial for them and beneficial for the employer, that's great. If it's also like a middle ground between this is this person's goals and mission, this is this other person's goals and mission, that's also great. But I think we need to have accountability, great work ethic, and just have that conversation way ahead so that everybody is clear on what the expectations are. Yeah.
That's fantastic. During the COVID lockdown, a lot of people lost
their jobs.
Yeah. And at that point in time, they just had to do something. They just had to start something. Some people in that particular situation, just post-COVID, they got another job, but they were already doing another job. And then there's this sort of conflict as to where to assign more time to, in situations like that, for people in those shoes, what would you tell them?
So again, it's really about retrospection. Like thinking back, is this really affecting the thing that I signed up for? Like, did I sign a document to say I was going to hit XYZ KPIs? Am I hitting them? Talking about COVID, that was one of the things we noticed. A lot of people were losing jobs. People had to lean back on side hustles. The current biggest TikTok influencer who just influenced for Meta also lost his job during COVID. And now suddenly a guy who wasn't speaking in videos is one of the highest paid influencers in the world. So imagine.
Are you talking about Kabi?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Kabi
He did lose his job. Yeah, exactly. And so it's just going to be like finding that balance again, knowing what your KPIs are, knowing where your loyalties lie, and just being honest with yourself. For us at Ingressive for Good, one of the things we noticed is that tech is an enabler, right? And we can't do it all. A lot of things that we can do, we can sort of give tech some jobs and say, oh, be my assistant.
Yeah.
Schedule the content before 9 o'clock. And it's going to post automatically. The ways tech can really assist you in getting this done. A lot of people who lost their jobs came to us while we were doing a lot of trainings in data design, software development. And now they have jobs. There's a lady who was earning 20,000 naira selling soap at the time. She was trying to be an entrepreneur because she was one of the people who didn't have a job at the time. And now she's earning over 200K because she learned a tech skill. So if you can't learn a tech skill to sort of help accelerate, leverage the tech tools that currently exist to help you do the work outside of work hours. But be very clear, what does my company allow? What does my company not allow? What would be fair to my company? What would be fair to me? Is there a middle ground? How can I help this company succeed? But the most important and golden rule that I would give employers out there is when you're hiring people, creators, tech people, anybody, always be sure beyond the skills, what are these people's goals? What are your company goals? Where is the middle ground? Where is that alignment? So that them working for you will be advancing their goals and careers and not just the company. Yeah.
So basically, they should align their vision and make sure their vision aligns with...
Yeah, so people don't just work for salaries because, I mean, as I said, a lot of young people are doing it for income reasons. Yeah, exactly.
So there's probably somebody out there watching us and he or she is saying that I have a 9-to-5 job. It's footing my bills a bit, but I really want to go into a side hustle. But I'm just really scared about the unknown, fear of the unknown. What would you tell that person? Would you encourage the person? Would you say stick to your job? So for that person, having that moment of doubt as to the success of that side hustle. And then for some people, it's a deal breaker. I have a friend of mine. She works for a particular company. And every single time she tells me, Hero, I want to quit my job so I can focus on this. But there's this...
security.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months if I quit my job. So would you advise somebody, as opposed to putting a side hustle alongside your normal job and and that takes away from the employer's time, should I just totally quit my job and focus on that hustle?
Okay, great. I mean, from what I know about you, you've written a book, right? And I'm guessing in some way that's like a side hustle. But it didn't affect your work here. It didn't take anything from the work that you're doing here because you give it your all. So what I would say is find time during the weekend. The time that doesn't affect, I mean, that's what side hustles are for. They're supposed to be bridges. They're there to give you a soft landing. So you don't quit and go do something. I mean, 90% of businesses fail. That's not inspiring. So you want to maybe have a soft landing, right? And just ensure you're not doing it within company's time. Ensure that if it's something you can hire other people to do for you, hire them to do for you. Ensure that it's a non-compete, that it's not competing with the work that you're doing. Because if it's competing with the work, that also affects causes wahala, and they can take your company. And it's nobody's fault. It's legal and it's okay. Also do your research. What is in your contract and what is not. But if you're doing this majorly for money and not passion, consider negotiating your current salary offer. It's less stressful to have something else and you go crazy sometimes running this too. But if you could just negotiate, there are many great negotiating tips, like just knowing how you can add value to the company. Every employer just wants to know, how can you increase my revenue or how can you reduce my expenses? That's all they want to know. And so if that's what they want to know, ask yourself, how is my work contributing to either increasing revenue or reducing expenses?
But you make it sound so easy. I think I have to interject at that point in time. You say...
How hard was it writing your book?
No, because you made a statement that that's all they want to know. That's all the employer wants to know. How would you increase productivity? But let's be honest. In
productivity or revenue?
Revenue. Yeah. So in this climate, let's be honest. Even when you're churning out, sometimes, I can't generalize. Even when you're churning out, you're productive and you're churning out more revenue. Sometimes they'll tell you, oh, we can't actually increase your salary at this point in time. So in such a situation, what should the individual do?
So again, be sure that you're the person who is somehow in one way or the other contributing to this increase in revenue. Not that the whole company is experiencing some sort of increase in revenue and then you want to come and attach that, oh, hi company, we've increased by 50%. Think about what was my role as part of increasing this, because you always have to have your employer's interest at heart if you really want them to see you as an ally and not an opposite, an opponent, right? So you want to make it clear that I have the company at heart. If right now I know that these are the things I need to do to help channels get a lot more visibility, I will go do that. I will do my job so well the channel gets that, right?
All right.
That's going to really help your organization or your employer see you as an ally and not an opponent.
All right. Thank you so very much. We're out of time, but I really enjoyed the interview. Thank you for coming. It's been an amazing time on Rubbin Minds, and my name is Hero Daniels. Same time, same station next week. Stay cool.